Hey Shooby-Doodlers, how are you doing? Well, in my last video I showed you how I'm making a how to draw Greek stuff, how to draw book, which is going to be really mostly for kind of elementary school children really. Now I'm using my new Seawhite watercolor sketchbook, which I did a review of the other day. I don't think you can get them in the States just yet. They're very new, and I'm really enjoying this experience. Now this is this sketchbook is very similar to kind of the Moleskine kind of one, but they're so expensive, aren't they? And these are possibly half that kind of price, but we've still got watercolor paper. And yet I find in the Moleskine I just tighten up. I don't know why, and because I'm, you know, it's cheaper, then I'm feeling I can just be a little bit more loose with this sketchbook, and I'm just really enjoying doing this. And I'm kind of sketching, well, it's research kind of sketches really, but I'm doing these in a very different way to what I would normally do because of the paper, I think, and I think I'm actually taking more time with the drawing rather than just sort of scribbling. And doing a bit of watercolour with them, and it's kind of like rehearsing. This was watching TV, and this was certainly the Strictly Come Dancing, which would be Dancing with the Stars in America. I can't remember what this program was, I don't remember. These are kind of sketches and things, and some of these drawings I find really difficult, so I'm having to draw them again and again and again just to hear you. You see, this is Perseus, and it's kind of developing the character. But Strictly Come Dancing again. The thing here is I'm not developing a character for a storybook. I'm developing a character that kind of says this is Perseus, but it's also, I'm trying to reduce it down to make it easy to draw. So that's kind of one of the things I'm doing. So one of the pages is going to be about fashion, so I'm kind of researching different kinds of ancient Greek fashion and pattern, all sorts of things like that. I think that was someone on the TV again. And then Pegasus. Now this is what I'm talking about now. So I've been having such a trouble. I was discussing over, there's been Christmas this week, and we've been sitting at the table eating and whatever, and I was saying how in ancient days you get amazing sort of, well, like the ancient Greek potters and the illustrations they did on their pots. And William Stubbs, fantastic horse painter, but of course they were brought up with horses. They lived around horses. There were horses in the street, and I'm lucky if I see 3 or 4 horses a year in real life, and they just sort of, as I'm driving past them or something in a field. So I'm not used to seeing horses, and I don't draw horses very often. So every time I come to draw horses, I go, oh no. And I have to really kind of start from scratch again, and I think that is a problem with being an illustrator. I think you're always starting from scratch on a new kind of idea. I got started on, this was the Queen's speech. I just did a very quick sketch of her hair, really, and I just carried on doodling. So with Pegasus, this is one thing that I have found. You see, my first drawings I'm really unhappy with. And I'm also wanting to get this kind of Greek style, so I'm looking at how other people draw them, and see, this is wrong, he's too dumpy. This is just wrong, the eyes are wrong, and all sorts of things are just wrong, and I'm just very unhappy. But it's a bit like doing a crossword. I find I quite enjoy doing crosswords, and you start and you get absolutely nowhere, and so you think, oh, you give up, and that'll be over breakfast, and then you come back at lunchtime, you go, oh wait a minute, and then your brain has been working on things in the meantime. So these sketches have been done over 2 or 3 days, and I've been kind of developing things and working things out, but kind of keep drawing. It's like doing that crossword. You just keep drawing, and things start to come. And now I'm really liking kind of this version here. And I think it's a kind of a muscle memory thing. I think once you've done it once, you kind of start to remember these little moves, and particularly the eyes. I think we've got to get that kind of look in there somehow. And then we want the cheek will sort of come around like that. And so it's getting this kind of feeling of a kind of a Greek carved statue. And yet somehow I'm putting little elements of, the painted Greek pots that you get as well, which I've been studying quite a lot. Got a new battery here. Now, I was saying that the thing about the ancient Greeks on the pots and things like that is, you go to a museum and you'll see, you see a little collection of ancient Greek vases, and I don't know how many survive around the world. I don't suppose an enormous number, because, well, things like that don't survive, do they? Pottery, is an everyday thing that, and it's very brittle. And over the centuries, it breaks, and so it becomes rarer and rarer. And of course the everyday pottery had very simple decoration on it. So the really, really good stuff with the really artistic artwork on it, survives. Doesn't survive that well. So we're very privileged to have what remains. And let me think about this. So this talking and drawing at the same time is not conducive. So how many millions and millions and millions of pots must have been made during the ancient Greek period? And, well, lots of them anyway, hundreds of thousands of them, and through generations and generations. And of course, in those days, those kind of skills were passed down in families, and father would pass down to son and daughter, perhaps. I don't know. I think it was mostly sort of a patriarchal society then, so it's probably mostly sons. So fathers were mostly passed down to sons. I'm sure there were exceptions, and they so dad would kind of work out how to draw a horse, and he'd teach his son, and his son would go, oh, well, wait a minute, look, I looked at that horse down the road there, and I think that the leg works slightly differently, and they'll add their own little bit, and they add their own little bit of artistic whateverness, and then over the generations it will sort of progress, and so each pot will have basically the same illustration on it, and this is a very dodgy tail. I'm still working on the tail, quite working out how to do that. So each pot will have kind of the same illustration. Hang on, I have to really think about these legs, and that kind of going like that. I'm not quite sure about that, just because I'm talking. So yeah, over the generations, the pot will have basically the same illustration, and they'll paint it again and again and again. And each day they come into work and they do this pot, and it gets sort of perfected and abstracted in a way, I suppose. They kind of make it better and better and better, and simpler and simpler and simpler. And so particularly when you're illustrating on a pot, it's all about the brush stroke, and especially when you look at the this isn't quite, I think the legs here are much too small for the head. So when what was I saying? Yes, it's all about the brush stroke, particularly when you look at borders and patterns and things like that. You see those borders have built up because of the brush strokes, and they're doing it every day, perfecting that technique. That's how these things build. And so nowadays, I think we kind of feel that we should be able to just pick up a pencil and draw something, and forget, feel, oh well, they were just, ancient Greeks. What do they know about anything? And in fact, we think that we can just pick up a pencil, draw something amazing, better than the ancient Greeks could do, whereas they had you know, their generations of experience taught to them for a start, and then they were just sat there doing it every single day, repeating the same drawing over and over and over, perfecting each brush stroke. So if you really want to get good at drawing horses, then you need to draw horses every single day. And if you want to draw, you know, horses in the countryside, then you need to be drawing the horses and the countryside every day. You know, and if you want to draw Marvel comics, you need to draw, you know, sort of Marvel comic style every day. And that's, I think, something that we have kind of forgotten in our kind of modern, you know, sort of technology kind of world, where you feel you should just be able to just, you know, pick something up and do it. And drawing is a skill, and you can be taught how to draw, and you can learn how to do a thing, and you can learn how to kind of do it every day and repeat it, and each day you will get better and better and better at it. And each day you will deviate from the previous day. I'm still thinking I've got to really work out the tail. I think that's my next problem. So each day you will slightly deviate from the previous day, and those little deviations become your style. And that's how we recognise kind of one artist from another. It's just those little things that are a bit different, especially, you know, especially if you're looking on pots where a lot of people are kind of working in a factory or something like that. Still, the collectors will want to have the pots that were made by Jim or whoever, because they had that special something about the way they you know, did the paintings and the decorations on the pots. That's how it works. And I think you probably find in a factory you get a whole row of people. So you get a whole lot of apprentices come in, and you teach them all, right, this is what we're doing, this is how we paint. And there's going to be, in that intake of apprentices, there are going to be a bunch of people who are just there to do a job, and they want to go home at 5 o'clock, they want to get paid, and they'll paint vases all day long, and they'll natter and chatter away, and they'll be quite happy. They'll get their wages at the end of the week, and off they go. But in amongst them, there'll be one or two who become passionate about the thing, and become passionate about pots, and become passionate about painting and firing and glazes and things like that. And they will, you know, sort of turn the everyday thing into much more of an art form. And then you're going to get, every now and then, once in a generation, you're going to get one person who comes along who's just got it, who's just got their, whatever it is, you know, that kind of the brain power, the brain cells in the right order that allow them to just really understand the medium and just handle a brush or something, and they'll just understand the horses that they're painting or whatever it is, and they will then become an artist, and, you know, rather than a technician, and they will just become the person who's best known for doing that kind of thing. But they get there by sitting down every day, drawing again and again and again, learning how their chosen medium works. So here, you know, I'm using this funny old brush, this water brush, and which I've been using for a few years now, but I'm just getting so used to knowing how it works, because it's the one brush that I use. And same with the pen, Rotring Tikky graphic pen. This is the Pentel Aquash brush. All the details are in the comments box below. And I just kind of got to know the brush and the pen and what it can do and or what it can do in my hands, should I say, because I know other people do different things when it's in their hands, because they've got this whole history of training and ideas and vision and whatever it is. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, if you want to get good at something, you have to practice, and sort of focus and love what it is that you're doing. So if it's flowers, if you love flowers, you want to paint flowers, love those flowers, love painting, and do it, and just keep going at it and keep going at it, and get that little bit better every day. Thanks for watching, and you can support this channel and get so much more on my Patreon page. Click to find out more. Make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner Drawing Channel on YouTube, and in the meantime, keep drawing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.